Hello everyone, today I will be showing you my progress on the Bloodborne-like soundtracks that I'm working on for Potomy's Bloodborne and Minecraft mod. And here I've been tasked with about 4 songs to make that are in the Bloodborne style. And the task here is to create the songs that mimic, the original song, have the same vibes, have the same feelings, same emotions that it gives off, as well as reminding the player that, hey, this is what the original song kind of sounded like. Here is like a source to it, or a link to the original song. It's a pretty difficult task, and I wanted to show you guys what went on behind my process behind it, and the thoughts and kind of way I tackled this kind of project. But the first thing that comes with this is the composition, the notes that we're going to be working with. And to do this, I had to study the original score of the Cleric Beast. And if we take this, I have a piano just to showcase the notes. So here, these are just the Cleric Beast chords. And immediately the first thing that jumped out to me was how chromatic the whole thing was. Because you have the C sharp, immediately go down like semitone down. So we could be in the key of C sharp, and then we're going down to the harmonic raised 7th, and then we go to the D sharp, which could be the 2nd. Then it goes down to D right here. So the whole thing is just these 4 notes, all next to each other, which is pretty sinister sounding. And then we get to the really quick staccatos that happen underneath as well. With the, a faster version of those notes that we played before. So it's not really like a chord progression that plays, it's more just like just notes, which set the tone that each melody is going to be playing on. As well as everything here is chromatic as well, super just evil. Just completely evil. It's going underneath the entire time. And then we get to the main melody over here, which is pretty simple. I think the piano tutorials I was watching just made it a simplified version. But also the Cleric Beast does have like a simple melody that plays underneath. Not exactly the full just string chromaticism that happens over here. I forget what key it is. Whatever G sharp, I think G sharp was the 5th of it. So if we do that, yeah. So I think it was in C sharp, minor. Yeah. So this stuff stays in key. So it has a complete chromaticism running throughout. It has a mix of both this melody that's playing as well as just the main C sharp to C to D sharp to D. While just it's going through the scale here. And it even sticks to the whole scale, right here the whole time. And the D sharp here works with the D sharp playing underneath, and then G sharp playing with a D is a tritone. That's why it sounds so creepy. It just sounds unnerving, and that's why it sounds so sinister when it gets to this part. And then the A is just, the major 5th, the 5th of it, the perfect 5th. So first it does. No. So we go from tritone, 5th, but as well as even if we are on a tritone versus a regular 1/5 chord, we're still on the D, which is the lowered 2nd. So when we have this minor key here that we're working with, we have, let's go up here. So C sharp is our root, and then we have D, and then E. So right now, this note is not in our scale because it is just it's a half step right above the C sharp. And we're building the chords on top of this D after we just, play notes throughout our chord. That's why it sounds so creepy. As well, we're using the C before, which just, harmonic minor sounds a little cooler than the natural minor. I don't know enough music theory yet to explain it. I'm sure there's way better people for that. Moonlapse, this is your cue. Why does the harmonic minor sound cooler than the natural minor? But I mean, like, this song won't make full use of it, I'd say, because right now it just plays with chromaticism. Everything's playing next to each other. It goes semitones down, like a single semitone down from each note. And harmonic minor does that versus the natural minor, which has this note as the normal note instead of a C, which is right underneath the C sharp. So they just want something that plays with all these notes playing, and then this is what you get. All these notes just right next to each other. And then we go to these chords that play. So again, this main melody is playing. It's the same just progression the entire time. This is the Cleric Beast theme right here, is these notes. If you hear these notes in succession, it feels like Cleric Beast. But here we have some pretty nasty chords that are playing. I mean, the whole thing is just, so first just C sharp minor. And this is kind of working with the C. So we have a C working with a C sharp, which is pretty, like, it's sinister. You have two notes that are clashing at the same time. Then you space them out like this. It's still dissonant, but not just, it's not unplayable. But Bloodborne will do this a lot. Like, it works, but it's so sinister sounding. And then it goes up the half step, which is still in the key. And this F? Yeah, the F is a weird one. Yeah, the F is also not in key. So having the C here, harmonic minor, the main difference between the harmonic and the natural minor is that you have this raised seventh, which instead of, you have the C sharp. The C sharp resolution, which, would go from your 1 right here to a minor fifth, which is this one. Like, it doesn't have that pull. It doesn't have the same pull that this would have. Back to your 1 chord. So the C, kind of invokes that, especially since D sharp is also in the major fifth chord, and then the F sharp. All this is a tritone on top of your root of that chord, which is your G sharp, because this is the 5th of the scale. So this whole thing is just a dominant major chord. Super powerful, and it's gonna make you want to go back, which is this kind of very resoluting thing when it goes back to C sharp. So what's happening here is just, some normal stuff. Like, it's a very normal melody that plays, but you have this crazy chromatic horror show playing underneath, as well as, the main Cleric Beast theme that we're seeing from before. This 1 raised 7th, 2, and then flattened 2. So these elements playing, you can really play anything you want on here, and it's gonna sound creepy. And then they twist it in the end by going into this D as well, which is what's playing down here. So the melody is reflecting that. You know, same thing with the F, because the F is also not in key. So we have F and D, which is you're almost getting like a little minor chord playing on top of this. So you have the minor chord of the C sharp, and then ending it, which does want to resolute to the first one, but it's just darker. It's creepier. Like this is what you want to be doing. And then they get a little chordy here, but it's still simple again. I mean, but all this is to see exactly how the original Cleric Beast does it. So the first step of this is to understand why they wrote it, how they wrote it, how do they get those feelings that they want across, and what do they do to do that. And those are the main points that I picked up. So now that we finished looking at the original piece, let's look at what I wrote for the Cleric Beast. So we had multiple things to work off here. So in terms of structure, I had to plan this out. I didn't know how much I wanted to stay faithful to the Cleric Beast in terms of structure and how the melody interacts with the undertone melodies, but a lot of the Cleric Beast's identity came from just the low strings underneath, as well as the types of chords that it played. So I kind of had to play it safe here and do something really similar to the original. But here I wrote it in, let's switch to F, because I think I'm pretty sure I wrote it in F. Yeah, so here again, I start off with the first chord. Here I use the harmonic lower one, which is the raised seventh, which is one semitone underneath the root chord. And then did the I guess they didn't really do it, but you can just choose whatever chord sounds nice here. And what sounded nice was the which is a minor chord off the sixth, which plays into the harmonic minor. And then here, for the main melody, or for the main underneath the melody that I recognized was the Cleric Beast's theme, I chose a F, F, F sharp. So all of these are in the harmonic minor, and then the F sharp is that raised 2, the lowered 2 that we talked about before, which is just one semitone above the original root note. You're gonna see a little shift when it gets to this part, because right now it sounds pretty just depressing and dark, and this is where it gets twisted. So this is definitely the main kind of chords I want to be playing, and this is the main little melody that I want playing underneath. Now again, let's get to the next part, and we recognize that so what I wanted here was to have just more chromaticism. Chromaticism and then a minor third. These are all really dark things to play with, and this is a Cleric Beast. Like, you want it to be demonic, you want it to be terrifying. So having, you know, what we learned from before by studying the Cleric Beast, having chromaticism playing while having chromatic melodies underneath. As well as I made a little spicy by, you know, taking this melody, which is originally what I was going to play. It sounded the same as everything else, so I put it a half step up with the half step F sharp, as well as, you know, having an F sharp with an F playing underneath. We have also, you know, two tones next to each other, so it's going to sound like this. But because we put it down a whole octave again, it's playable, but it's still pretty scary. And then for the main melody, I went with, instead of a dun 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 dun, I wanted to do the opposite. I wanted to see how that would work. So I went dun 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 dun, which is exactly the same chords that played from before. It goes F sharp, it goes from F to E to C sharp. Which still sounds pretty imposing. But it is pretty similar to the original theme, I admit. But I think it is a nice twist that uses the original themes as tools to recreate the exact feeling that they wanted to convey. And the thing about Bloodborne's themes, which is different from the Dark Souls themes, is how simple it is. Like they have three concepts that are playing. There's no chords that are playing, no fancy chords. It's just simple. Chromatic is the main thing that they employ, and it's very effective. It's very memorable. So I wanted a memorable first impression that you're gonna get, because this is the first boss that you're gonna face in this mod. So I wanted something that would very simple to catch on, and something very, hypnotic to remember. That you won't be able to forget. So here I kind of freestyled a little bit, because I can't just copy the entire structure of the original Cleric Beast. I wanted to do my own spin on it. So here I wanted to get, a little more frantic, a little more exciting. So I continued the original chromaticism that I had on playing underneath, by the low strings. And then I had some chords that are playing. Let's see, I'm in F, right? Yeah, and this is the 5, F, so it's just playing a power chord. With some chromatic things playing. All this is, inviting a really scary atmosphere. And if you notice, C is our perfect fifth. So when I start employing a B, which is right underneath that C, that's the flat fifth. And this is it really, it's a tritone with the F, and this is a note I want to be hitting more often, because this is a pretty demonic note. Not demonic, I'd say. It's a very dissonant note, to the fifth, or to the root, which is the F. So I wanted to just, right now it's playing a power chord off the first, and then it goes down into the harmonic raise 7, going up into the 6th, and C sharp is as a minor third. I want to get a minor third in there. So as you can see here, it's going F, E, F, F sharp, which again is the original little motif that we had that played underneath everything, F, E, F, F sharp. So I wanted to continue that with everything, every chord that played throughout this, to really cement that theme. Well, as we're doing a tritone off of the flat second F sharp, it's just so evil. Even with sketching out a piano piece, I still like to just get a little into it. And here we had those chords again from before. Again, the F, E, F, F sharp is the main thing I want to highlight here. I'm pretty sure these are the similar chords that I was playing before. I don't remember. I wrote this so long ago. As well as here again, we have the main motif playing. We have the dissonant strings playing underneath, and then you can play really any chord that you want on top. And here I have the choir playing on top of it all. Alright, let's play all the instruments. So here we get into the instrument choice. What we have these chords, we have all these melodies. How do we turn that into a full song with an orchestra playing behind it? And so here, you know, we again look at the original theme and see what it does. It has a full choir playing out these chords, as well as it has a bass sustain playing underneath. We have and then we have the string underneath as well. So this is what's going to be carrying our entire piece, and as well as here, it switches into the fast strings, and this is now being carried by our, I think, tuba? Yeah, tuba. And trombone. Because again, this is what the original theme does as well in the Cleric Beast. I'll have examples throughout the video. Sorry about the clacks. Recording and playing this monster of a project completely destroys my CPU. But let's have those instruments playing as well as the strings. So here we have, again, like the original Cleric Beast theme, we build it up with the low instruments. Right now I have cellos, bass strings, and violas doing this. And it gets higher and higher. And now we're at the climax. This is where we have the main melody come in. Where it is... Now we bring back the choir. So yeah, it's pretty imposing now that we have the entire things playing together. And that tritone that plays right here as it gets into the 10th section. You can feel how much tension that brings out. Oh, it's so cool. Here we slow it down. We just have a violin playing along with the choir chords. So almost every instrument is just following this little outline I made. And all this outline is based off of the F, E, F, F sharp with the chords. And then if we get into the 10th section like here, we just stack on minor thirds. It's very simple with the notes playing underneath. You just have to know which instrument goes where. It's almost like once I have this outline filled out and I know exactly how I want it to sound, it's almost like puzzle blocks. You just send different instruments to different sections that sound nice. And then here, you know, we have the final thing playing with the entire orchestra with the full choir as well, singing with the strings that are playing the main melody. That's kind of it, honestly. It's this piece, I had a very clear vision for it after figuring out what made the original Cleric Beast sound like Cleric Beast. It just came to the kind of instruments that you wanted playing doing what and what kind of melodies. Like, it's a very melodic focused song. There's hardly any chords playing, only in this middle section and the intro section. And you can see that just from this opening section chords, which you don't even hear any time during the boss fight. You only hear in the beginning, and that's it. When you first get introduced to the Cleric Beast. They're so prevalent throughout the entire rest of the song. This is where the entire DNA from the song comes from. And that's why the entire song sounds like Cleric Beast. I think aside from that, there's a few things I want to point out. You know, you have the question of what kind of effects to be having. And let me single these out. Cleric Beast has, and a lot of the Bloodborne sounds have a lot of brass swells and string swells right before major hitting parts. Even if nothing, like, even if you had one instrument afterwards, they'll still have an enormous swell. And it's almost like the swell and riser is more, like, impactful than the actual thing that plays afterwards. They put so much emphasis on it. And they even throw it on after, like, they have their whole orchestra. Because if you notice, like, they'll have their entire strings playing, and then they'll have another string riser that plays behind them. So I don't think you should be shameful of how many effects you add. You can add a ton more riser effects after the whole orchestra. I mean, don't overdo it, but, you know, don't limit yourself to saying, oh, should I stop the strings from playing here if they're going to do a crescendo right here? Apparently, you know, Bloodborne can do it all. So yeah, screeching strings crescendos with brass swells, and that's just Bloodborne DNA right here. And this is playing right underneath everything. And they kind of end right before it hits, like, then the whole thing hits. I think that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to answer. I'll have the list of VSTs I use for this project in the description, because, you know, I could get into that, like, that'll be a whole nother discussion, is how do you make your VSTs do what you want them to do? And I guess that's more of a technical question to be asked, which I'm happy to answer, but that's not what the focus of this video is about. This video is about how do you decode the Bloodborne DNA of the music, and how do you make your own music inspired by it. And this is specifically, you know, how I made a song that was inspired by the Cleric Beast. Yeah, I think that's the gist of it. Thank you so much for watching. Please check out the Potomy's Bloodborne mod that he is making. There's a very talented team of devs that are all behind it. You know, modelers, animators, developers, trailer, and renderers, as well as Potomy himself, who's worked tirelessly on this, making models and making the entire map as well. His videos are very entertaining, and I can't wait for you guys to play in this mod with the music that I'm very proud of that will go into this. So I'll see you the next time. I have maybe a couple more tracks I'll show behind the scenes of to explain my process behind it. But yeah, you all take care. Thank you very much for watching.